Alex was a dedicated student, balancing the demands of his rigorous academic schedule with a part-time job to make ends meet. He had always prided himself on his strong work ethic and honesty, values instilled in him since childhood. In the beginning, sharing an apartment with Jamie seemed like a perfect arrangement. They met at orientation and quickly bonded over late-night study sessions and mutual interests. Together allowed them to split expenses, easing the financial burden of college life. However, as time went on, Alex started noticing small inconveniences that chipped away at their once amicable living situation. The apartment began to reflect Jamie's carefree attitude, dishes piled high in the sink, clothes strewn across common areas, and a general air of chaos that made it hard for Alex to focus on his studies. He would come home after long days at work, only to find the living room cluttered or the kitchen in disarray. It was exhausting trying to maintain peace. He tried to address these issues calmly with Jamie. Her dismissive responses only fueled his frustration, and shrugged off his concerns, claiming she was just busy with her own life. There were troubling signs lurking beneath her charming facade. Visitors became a regular occurrence. Faint laughter echoed through the walls while Alex struggled to concentrate on his assignments in the next room. His phone calls filled their shared spaces with secrecy whispers exchanged between Jamie, and her guests faded into silence as he approached. With every passing day, Alex felt more like an unwelcome guest in his own home rather than a friend sharing space with someone he thought he knew well. He grappled with feelings of helplessness as he tried desperately to keep things harmonious despite mounting tensions. Each day brought new challenges as he balanced schoolwork and responsibilities, while silently wishing for some semblance of respect from Jamie, a recognition that they shared this space equally. Midst all this turmoil, Sarah remained blissfully unaware of the struggles brewing behind closed doors. She continued her friendship with both Alex and Jamie, without any inkling that, beneath their smiles, lay tension waiting to erupt. For now, Alex hoped for change, a shift back toward camaraderie, before everything spiraled out of control, but little did he know that darker days were yet ahead in their seemingly idyllic college experience. One evening, Alex returned home earlier than usual, a weight of a long day hanging on his shoulders. He opened the door, a wave of chaos hit him like a cold gust of wind. The apartment was in disarray, furniture lay overturned, cushions were strewn across the floor, and empty alcohol bottles littered every surface. Confusion morphed into anger as he noticed strange faces lingering around uninvited guests who had made themselves at home. Jamie, he called out, hoping to find her amidst the madness. But there was no answer. Instead, laughter echoed from the kitchen where music blared loudly enough to drown out his voice. Fuming, Alex pushed through the crowd until he spotted Jamie huddled with a group of people, oblivious to the wreckage surrounding them. Her hair was tousled, and her cheeks flushed with excitement as she clinked glasses with someone he didn't recognize. "Jamie," Alex shouted again, this time louder. Towards him with an insincere grin that only deepened his frustration. "What's wrong?" she asked playfully, as if they were just having a casual chat rather than addressing a disaster unfolding right before them. "This is my home too. You can't just throw a party without telling me." His voice trembled with exasperation as he took in the scene. A space that should have felt safe and welcoming now felt like a battleground. "Just one night, relax," Jamie shrugged off his concern nonchalantly, taking another sip from her drink. "You're such a buzzkill." The confrontation spiraled quickly as emotions escalated between them. In that moment of rage and betrayal, Alex couldn't hold back any longer. "This isn't just about being uptight. You've been using our place for your secret rendezvous while cheating on your boyfriend." At this accusation, Jamie's expression shifted from playful to defensive in an instant. "How dare you say that? You don't know anything about my life." She stepped closer to him, eyes narrowing dangerously. "If you try to kick me out or tell Mr. Thompson about this mess," she threatened with venomous intensity, "I will make sure you regret it." Alex recoiled slightly at her words but stood firm in front of her wild accusations and bravado. He could feel his heart pounding against his chest, a mix of fear and determination coursing through him. Their argument escalated amid disgruntled whispers from their uninvited guests who had suddenly turned quiet with curiosity over their spat. Alex realized something within him had shifted irrevocably. A facade of friendship they once shared crumbled under pressure, revealing Jamie's true colors: manipulative and deceitful. With fury boiling inside him yet tempered by clarity and resolve for what needed to be done next, Alex knew he wouldn't let this slide any longer. He had to take action against this betrayal in order to protect himself and reclaim control over his life once more. After a sleepless night filled with anger and betrayal, Alex awoke with a renewed sense of purpose. A chaotic memories of Jamie's party replayed in his mind, fueling his determination to take action. He needed to reclaim control over his living situation and ensure that justice was served for the damage done. Alex gathered his thoughts and decided that documenting all damages systematically was the only way forward. He pulled out his phone and began taking photos of every corner of their apartment: the overturned furniture, the spilled drinks staining the carpet, broken decorations, and even the remnants of food left behind in odd places. Each click captured not just evidence, but also a piece of his frustration solidifying into resolve. He made detailed notes alongside each photo describing what had been damaged or missing, ensuring he wouldn't miss a single detail when it came time to confront Mr. Thompson. His research didn't stop there. Alex delved deep into tenant rights online, combing through their lease agreement line by line until he found loopholes concerning security deposits that might work in his favor. With newfound knowledge clutched tightly in his hands, he felt empowered, a stark contrast to how helpless he had felt just days prior. Realizing he needed support beyond just documentation, Alex reached out to Sarah discreetly. Under the guise of catching up over coffee, he explained some issues regarding their living arrangement without fully divulging everything about Jamie's wild behavior. Listened intently as Alex subtly hinted at disturbances from late-night parties and noise complaints from neighbors that seemed to come from Jamie's guests more often than not. Gratefully accepting her offer to gather testimony from neighbors about any loud noises or disruptions they had experienced during those nights gave him another layer of support. Together, they would build an unshakable case against Jamie. Equipped with ample evidence and testimonies, Alex arranged a meeting with Mr. Thompson under the pretense of discussing routine maintenance issues in their unit. The day of the meeting, nerves fluttered in Alex's stomach like butterflies as he approached Mr. Thompson's office, a modest room adorned with old photographs and rental agreements hanging on the wall. They settled into their chairs across from one another. Alex maintained professionalism while revealing why he'd come. Mr. Thompson, he began softly yet firmly, I need to discuss some serious concerns about our apartment. He presented all documented evidence, meticulously photos, displayed sequentially alongside detailed notes outlining each incident tied back to Jamie's negligence as a roommate. Mr. Thompson examined each image carefully and read through Alex's observations with furrowed brows. It became evident that Jamie had breached her responsibilities within their lease agreement. Understand this isn't easy for you, Mr. Thompson finally said after thorough contemplation, but I cannot ignore these breaches. His disappointment toward Jamie grew palpable as they discussed how extensive damage had taken place during her reckless partying escapades, disrupting not only Alex's life, but also affecting other tenants' peace in their building. In that moment of confrontation between tenant and landlord emerged a sense of relief for Alex. It was clear justice was within reach as they both recognized how unacceptable Jamie's actions were not just for him, but for everyone involved. And creating harmony within their shared community. With everything laid out on the table before them, like pieces on a chessboard waiting for resolution, victory loomed closer than ever as they addressed what would happen next. Mr. Thompson sat behind his desk, an old wooden fixture that creaked with age, and reviewed the evidence Alex had meticulously gathered. A landlord's brow furrowed as he scrutinized each photo, each note detailing damages and disturbances. Alex could see the initial skepticism in Mr. Thompson's eyes slowly morph into disbelief. This really what I think it is? Mr. Thompson asked, glancing up from the pile of documents to meet Alex's gaze. A disappointment was evident in his voice as he flipped through images of broken furniture and destruction that had marred the apartment. Alex nodded solemnly, his heart racing with a mixture of apprehension and anticipation. Yes, Mr. Thompson. This is how Jamie has treated our home, turning it into a party venue, while disregarding the responsibilities outlined in our lease. The older man let out a heavy sigh, shaking his head in disapproval as he leaned back in his chair. I've dealt with many tenants over the years, but this is unacceptable. He paused to compose himself before continuing. I will deduct costs for repairs from her security deposit. A flicker of satisfaction washed over Alex. Justice was finally being served for all that he'd endured. More than just financial restitution at stake here, it was about reclaiming his life from the toxic grasp of Jamie's deceitful influence. They wrapped up their meeting. Mr. Thompson leaned forward slightly, concern etched on his face. I also need you to understand that I will be formally noting this incident. Jamie won't be renting here again, not after all these complaints regarding her behavior during parties. With those words hanging heavily in the air, Alex felt a surge of empowerment course through him, a weight lifted off his shoulders knowing he wouldn't have to endure Jamie's chaos anymore. Days turned into weeks as everything fell back into place for Alex, after resolving the tumultuous chapter of sharing space with Jamie. He used the time wisely, focusing on studies and work, without distractions clouding his mind or home life. Finally free from turmoil and manipulative games, Alex took a moment one evening to reflect on everything that had transpired, his journey through confusion and betrayal towards clarity and strength, illuminated by hard-earned lessons learned along the way. Never tolerate dishonesty again, he whispered to himself as he looked around at his newly organized living space sanctuary, regained, and resolved not only to choose future roommates wisely, but also to uphold honesty within himself no matter what challenges lay ahead. And so began a new chapter filled with promise and renewal, one where trust flourished like sunlight breaking through dark clouds, a reminder that sometimes we must navigate storms before emerging stronger on the other side.